Hello everyone, this is Phoenix here, and this time we're going to be doing a top 10 list for the month of October, so meaning that it's horror related. And the topic is, top 10 most creepy video game music that is from non-survival horror. Now originally I wanted to call this video top 10 most creepy music from video games, but the thing is that a lot of people would assume that I'd be talking about a lot of survival horror games, and well, to be honest, that would make this list way too damn easy. Now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of music within survival horror games that are like really creepy sounding that are also really fucking awesome. So I figured I might as well say that before anyone started suspecting me for saying things like, oh, this one's gonna be from Resident Evil, this one's gonna be from Silent Hill, this one's gonna be from Fatal Frame, oh, this one's gonna be from Clock Tower, or oh, this one's gonna be from Eternal Darkness, Requiem's Sanity, whatever. But anyways, you get the point. So I really wanted to make a video talking about creepy music from video games that are not from survival horror, just to make things more interesting. Because surprisingly, there's a lot of music within video games that are not supposed to be all dark and horror-like, that actually do have some pretty creepy stuff in them. So that's all I really have to say. I mean, I don't really think I need to re-explain the rules here, considering that they're very non-strict. But I really wanted to explain that whole beginning part, mainly because, well, I know if I didn't mention it, someone would complain about it, but either way. So let's get this thing rolling around your pants. Okay, that didn't sound right, but anyways, let's just get this thing rolling. So for number 10, we have Lunar 2 Eternal Blue with Dangerous Grounds. Now this song plays in the game when you're in the forest. I can't remember the name of the forest, but it's near the beginning of the game. At least it's on the first disc. Now I find this song to be kind of creepy, mostly because it's very subtle. Now whenever there's like a forest level or forest stage or something, it usually does have some pretty creepy sounds. Not all the time, but sometimes. But I definitely do think this one is definitely a great one. I find it to be pretty atmospheric for a forest, especially one that's kind of creepy. Of course, it's not creepy when you look at it, but I mean it's creepy when you're just hearing this. So for that, I think this is definitely an awesome one. Then again, this game is awesome, and even the whole entire OST is great. So either way, Lunar 2 definitely will go up to number 10. And for number 9, we have Persona 2 with Morrie Hospital. I think that's how you say it. Now this game is pretty dark in general, but I definitely do think that this song is probably the most darkest one out of them all, at least from all the ones that I've listened to. And I actually really like this one, not just because it's creepy, but because I just think it's just a really well done, put together song. But I do find it to be creepy, mostly because of how eerie it is, and not only that, but where the song plays in the game is also a bit creepy as well. Yeah, it plays in a sanitarium, also known as an asylum for crazy people. So knowing this actually makes the song a lot more creepy. So with that being said, I do find it to be a pretty creepy theme that just sounds awesome. And as for number 8, we have Mine Zero with Theater Keski Krumlov. I think that's how you say it, even though I know in the game it's actually called The Desolate Theater, but whatever, that's what the name of the song is. Now personally, I find the song should have been used at like the final dungeon, but it's actually like the third last dungeon, but whatever. I find the song to be really creepy, mostly due to the whole choir thing. For some reason, it kind of reminds me of like Ring Around the Rosie or something. Now I don't really need to explain the whole history about Ring Around the Rosie, but all I gotta say is that is one reason why I find the song to be really creepy. The other reason is that the dungeon where the song plays in is pretty much like a movie theater, but it's like a really trippy and weird movie theater. Now there was one thing I do remember when I first played through this dungeon, and that was that there's a part where you have to walk around and look for a bunch of switches to open up a door, but the thing is that all the switches are look like dolls. And believe it or not, the first time I saw one of them, I actually jumped for a second because I was not expecting it to be right there, because I was walking down this long hallway, and then I think I turned a right, and as soon as I turned right, the fucking doll was right there, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? And with this song in the background, it really wasn't helping much, but either way though, I just wanted to tell that story because I just found it to be really funny afterwards. Even though I wasn't expecting this game to ever do shit like that. Because seriously, who would have thought that a Persona clone that plays in a first-person dungeon crawler would actually do that? number 7, we have The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past with the cave theme. Aw man, this one has been with me for quite a while, considering that this is one of the first few games that I ever played from my childhood. And well, in case you didn't know from the title, this song plays whenever you go into a cave. And I remember when I first heard this song, I actually hated going into the caves because of this, because the music was just really damn creepy, mostly because it kind of sounded like something like Psycho. Although at the time I didn't know what Psycho was, but until when I first watched the movie Psycho, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh shit, this song almost sounds like that cave theme from Legend of Zelda. And yes, I believe the first time I ever watched that movie was when I was like 9 or something. But either way, when I was playing this game as a kid, I just always had to turn off the volume just before going in there. I know that sounds dumb, but you know, I was a kid. But either way though, it's actually a pretty interesting piece of music though. Also, another song within this game I also found to be kinda creepy, but not as much as this one, was the theme where you turned into a rabbit. But either way, at least the Link to the Past game had some pretty good variety going on when it came to its music. And for number 6, we have Donkey Kong Country with Misty Minds. This was another track I remember listening to when I was really young. Although oddly enough, this track as a kid, I actually liked this one. Yeah, it was actually really creepy, but I actually really liked it. Then again, I loved all the songs in the Donkey Kong Country games. Well, I still do, but anyways, the point being is that, yeah, this song is pretty creepy, mostly because how subtle it is, and just how, like, atmospheric it is. And I also remember when I first played this one, I actually didn't even realize there was music in the background, mainly because every time you jump on one of those claptrap guys, they would make, like, a really funny sound, and it kind of, like, interferes with the music. Well, it doesn't interfere with it, but, you know, like, you hear that over the music more. And I only noticed as soon as I paused the game at one of those levels. And then the more I left it paused and the music's still going, I was actually like, okay, this song is actually pretty damn creepy. But yes, it's a very simple song, but a really good simple song. And as for number 5, we have Shadow Hearts with Graveyard Theme. Now I have to explain a couple things just because this game is kind of obscure. Now in the game, the Graveyard section, you can go to it any time when you're at a save point, and you go there just to refill up your malice. And why you want to do this is because you don't want to keep on constantly fighting the Grim Reaper every time. Now, that may sound really confusing, but then again, I don't want to turn this into a whole review all of a sudden, but then again, that will happen one day. So anyways, you can go to the graveyard anytime you want, and the song that plays in the background is pretty fucking freaky. As again, it's very subtle, but this time I find it sounds kinda psychotic in a way. Mostly due to its string instruments that it throws in randomly. But it is a really cool sounding track nonetheless though. Also, I do find this game does have a lot of pretty creepy songs within it, such as like the Grim Reaper battle theme, and even like the Murderer's Mansion theme. Just those are 2 good examples. But in my personal opinion, this one is probably the most creepy. Also, I just want to throw this out there, but it's a great OST by the way. And as for number 4, we have Drakengard with Chapter 8 in the Sky. Yeah, whoever named the OSTs for this wasn't really big on snazzy names. But anyways, all you gotta know is that this song plays in the 8th chapter when you're flying around the sky with the dragon. Now, I'll be quite honest here, the first Drakengard game, I've actually never played it, but I have like seen gameplay footage of it, and well, the game actually does look pretty good. Then again, I have played 2 and 3 before, so it's not like I didn't know what this game was going to be about. And I had to listen to the OST, because I do remember someone bringing up to me that they thought that this song was like really creepy, so I was like, I had to listen to it then. And I did, and well, I have to say, not just this song, but a lot of the songs on this OST is actually pretty psychotic sounding. It's very strange. But I do kind of like some of the songs in here, although it does sound a lot like something in like a slasher film, which is kind of cool. Just didn't think that a game like Drakengard would have something like that, but then again the series is kind of all over the place at this point. But still, it's a pretty crazy tune. And as for number 3, we have LSD Dream Emulator with track 19. Yes, another generic title. Now, the whole entire definition of LSD Dream Emulator is just weird. The entire game is just fucking weird. And that even includes its music. And this song is just creepy as fuck, I find. It's just very eerie and just very short and simple, but man, it's just very creepy as hell. And for anyone that has played this game, you know that the music usually generates randomly, especially with like the world that you randomly generate into. So it's pretty rare that you'll actually hear this song, but I remember the first time I ever heard it was in that night stage where you see that like that chick where her head pops off. Yeah, that wasn't a very good time. But that is something I do like about this game, is that it pretty much changes all the time and that it's always different. But of course, I'll explain that in a game review someday. And while there's not a whole lot else I can say, I mean, the song is just very short, simple, and sweet, but it is just very creepy, like I've already said. And as for number 2, we have Sayuki Journey West with Scene of Carnage. Now this is a song that plays in a game that is generally pretty happy for the most part, even though it is based after the story Journey to the West. And all I have to say is that, holy fuck, this song is fucking freaky. And this song happens to play at the final boss, so at least that's pretty fitting. But man, this song is just wow, like, I never knew something like this would actually be in this game. It also kind of reminds me of the Geiges theme from Earthbound a little bit. Oh, and no, that won't be the number 1 spot, just letting you know on that. But still, the song is actually pretty cool sounding, but at the same time is also pretty damn freaky. Kinda sounds like something you'd listen to while you're like being tortured. And no, I don't mean like being tortured because of the fact that the song is just so terrible sounding. No, I mean like being tortured as in like if someone is like trying to be all sadistic and shit. So before we move on to the number 1 spot, let's talk about some honorable mentions, for one I'll just quickly go through without explaining anything, because, well, there's a lot of songs within video games that are pretty generally creepy. So let's just name some other ones off. So there's 007 GoldenEye with Statue Park, Digital Devil Saga with Sandcastle, Final Fantasy VII with Those Chosen by the Planet, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil with The Death Marches, Nier with The Ultimate Weapon, Kagero Deception 2 with Warmth of Darkness, Super Castlevania 4 with The Courtyard, Demon Souls with Theme of Fool's Idol, Xenosaga Episode 1 with Anxiety, and the last one that I'll mention, even though I've already mentioned it already, and that is Theme of Geiges from Earthbound. Even though I know I said that his character wasn't creepy, I gotta admit, the song that plays in the background is pretty creepy. So those are just other examples that I could mention as well. So anyways, let's move on to the number 1 spot, and that happens to be Twisted Metal Small Brawl with Holiday Havoc. Now before I talk about the song itself, one thing I would like to point out that is very amusing is that this was a Twisted Metal game that was more aimed towards younger audiences because, you know, it's not about like real cars are blowing up each other, instead it's about Mo Control's cars. And yet, it just happened to get a song in the game that happened to be a lot more creepier than anything in any other Twisted Metal game. Yes, even including Black, which is supposed to be all dark and gritty with no fucks given. So with that being said, yes, this song is freaky as shit. I remember the first time I ever heard this song was me and my friend were playing this game and we were trying to unlock all the stuff within the game, and it plays in a level called, well, Holiday Havoc, where you had to unlock it by going into the endurance round and getting at least 30 kills. And then after you unlock it, somewhere in the level you had to unlock another character named Mime or something. It's been quite a while since I've played it, but I do remember this very moment though. Because when we first played the level, we were like, man, what the fuck is up with this music? This music is like fucking terrifying. And it was also just very weird compared to every other song in the game, because all the other songs are usually like hard rock and metal sounding stuff. But yeah, this song is definitely unsettling, especially with the whole like kids laughing in the background. Ugh, I hate that shit. Well, I don't hate it, but I mean, like, it's just really creepy. To me, as soon as you start trying to involve kids within something that's supposed to be, like, scary or some way, there's a good chance that it's automatically gonna be pretty creepy. And I think this hits that nail on the head perfectly for that. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the kind of shit that people listen to when they offer, like, human sacrifices for something. Or, you know, any type of tragedy that's just, you know, terrible. But seriously, this is probably the most creepiest song I ever heard in a video game that is not horror related, or at least not survival horror. Although at least the song is pretty well composed, but it's still pretty fucking terrifying for this kind of thing. I know I've said that like a bunch of times already, but still, it's in the #1 spot for that reason. So that's all the creepy music that I'm going to be talking about within this video. Obviously, there's a lot more out there, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that I don't even know about. So what are your thoughts on some of these music that I mentioned? Do you think it's pretty freaky, or am I just a chicken shit? Also, feel free to mention any song within a video game that you found to be pretty creepy that I did not mention. Because I always found that music within video games is usually one of the key things that sets a tone within a setting, which is why I love talking about video game music in general. So of course there will be more top 10 lists talking about video game music with some kind of subject. So if you want, you can also suggest some ideas for more top 10 lists without video game music. Also keep in mind I've already done one for favorite piano themes and favorite metal tracks, just in case some of you forgot which ones I talked about already, or in case you didn't know which ones I talked about. So yeah, give it your thoughts and opinions on anything I just said. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching and commenting, and of course, continue watching some scary stuff for October.